Good morning and welcome to the West Burlington City Council Informational Forum conducted by the Greater Burlington Partnerships Government Relations Committee. My name is Stephen Brody with the Greater Burlington Partnership, and I will be your moderator for this morning. Our timekeeper is Rachel Lindeen with the Greater Burlington Partnership. In the interest of time and fairness to the other candidates, I'm going to ask each candidate to observe Rachel's signal and stop your response when time is up. The forum will consist of rounds of questions to which each candidate will have 90 seconds to respond. A decision was made by the Government Relations Committee to have candidates answer the questions impromptu and at random. In other words, they have not seen the questions in advance. Our candidates this morning are Mayoral candidate Ron Teeter, Council candidates John Johnson, Kathy Newberry, and Melanie Young. Let's start by having you introduce yourself and share why you are running for a seat on the City Council. And let's begin, please, with Ron Teeter.
Thank you. I think it's important for people to kind of have a background on what the candidates bring to the council. And so I'll give you a little bit of my background. It certainly makes a difference in how you view things in your background. So my father was a career military. He enlisted just ahead of World War II, stayed in it until, I suppose I was in 5th grade or something like that. And Iowa was our come-to place. It was the place where it was a solid background for us. It was solid in terms of my grandparents living here. So even though I grew up kind of bouncing around from military base to military base on the East Coast, here was home. So when my father retired, we came back and we settled in Centerville. I graduated from high school there, went off to the University of Iowa. Then I was in the middle of the Vietnam era, so I was in the military. I did my term of duty and came back and finished out my college career and changed my direction into teaching. My love was kind of history, social studies, and then I got a job in the Cedar Rapids school system and made the decision up there that I wanted to come to a small district because I felt that a teacher in a small district really had more impact on people. So I came to West Burlington, stayed there for a good number of years, took a little time off to help raise our kids, wound up being a principal there. I coached football and eventually retired from West Burlington. Well, my thing is I don't retire very well. So I wound up going to Notre Dame and taught there for 9 years. I did technology in that particular job because that was also kind of a love of mine. Went off to, and thought maybe I'd retire there and wound up working for Trailways for a while as a bus driver. And then tried to retire one more time and then wound up working for First Christian Church as their technology communications person. So that's kind of my background.
Thank you.
Thank you. John Johnson, 60 seconds.
Let me tell you a little bit about my history. I was born in Keosauqua, Iowa. I was raised in Cahokia, Missouri. Went to Cahokia, went to a little one-room country school my first 7 grades, and then consolidated Clark County R1, where I graduated in 72. After that, I moved up here to Burlington, actually, and got a job at General Electric. Worked there 36.5 years. I retired from there. We ran JJ Auto Sales since 1988, maybe. GE is where I met my wife. We were married 40 years until she passed. We had 4 kids. Chad, Kat, and Chris, or Cindy. They went to West Burlington School, and I'm now a
Thank you. And if I could remind all candidates to please speak up and into the microphone so everyone can hear you, that would be wonderful. Kathy Newberry, 60 seconds, please.
Hi, my name's Kathy. My husband and I have lived in West Burlington for more than 15 years. We moved back here when he finished his military time. We have 3 children who attend West Burlington Junior Senior High. I'm currently a nurse. I work in the OR at Southeast Iowa Regional Medical Center. I'm running for the council person because I feel it's important to invest in things that are important to you and you find value in it. And I find value in our community, and I hope to help keep it the thriving small net community that we live in. So.
Thank you. Melanie Young, 60 seconds.
Thank you. Good morning, my name is Melanie Young. I grew up on a farm in Northeast Iowa, one of 6 farm kids. Started working my way south as I attended the University of Iowa. Graduated in '87 with a Bachelor's of Arts degree in Communication Studies and an ROTC commission. Met my husband in the Iowa National Guard. We got married and I kept moving south, and we made our home here in Southeast Iowa between Beaverdale, and I moved into West Burlington about 24 years ago. So both of our children who are adult, David and Mariah, they graduated from West Burlington High School. Professionally, I worked at several manufacturing companies in the area, retiring after 22 years with Federal Mobile Champion, Tenneco here about 2 years ago, year and a half ago. So the reason I'm running for council is we chose to live here. I could have lived anywhere else pretty much, and want to give back to the community where we live and where we've raised our family. Thank you.
Thank you. For the next series of questions, I'll be rotating and just ask randomly amongst all of you. First question I will pose to Kathy. Most candidates for local office have a pet project or issue of primary interest that compelled them to run for office. What is yours? You have 90 seconds.
I think my biggest thing for council is safety. I feel that our communities are changing, there's more crime rates, there's a lot of things going on, and so my biggest project would be to keep our community safe.
Thank you. Next question is for John Johnson. In your opinion, what is the biggest issue facing the city of West Burlington, and what would you like to see as the council's response to the need? 90 seconds.
Well, not so much if it's a challenge or if it's a change of order, but we're going to have a lot of new council members on the city council. Someone's already served some time. Not only is that, but we're going through a process with a new administrator, we got a new mayor. I was on the council for 10 years in the prior, and I just hope that I can bring back some of the knowledge to the council. As far as having anything that I really want to do, I would like to see a walkway or roadway or path from the college to Walmart or on even a little further. I see a lot of people walking in there at nighttime, and I think that's something that we need to do, and I'd be pushing for that. That's the reason I'm running for council. I just hope I can live up to what I'm expected of.
Thank you. Next question is for Melanie. Work has begun on a West Burlington industrial park. What is your vision for that area? You have 90 seconds.
Ultimately, it'd be nice to have a couple light industries in that area, but I want us to develop in a responsible manner that we can support it and not at a great risk to our taxpayers. While all economic development, I believe, takes risk, we got to borrow money to use the tools that we have available to us. I want us to have a plan going into it, so we're aggressively going after filling it up and don't end up with a bunch of infrastructure we put in place and then doesn't get utilized. And so that's a concern of mine for the industrial park. So the key part is let's have a plan and let's work the plan.
Thank you. Next question is for Ron Teeter. Tax increment financing has been aggressively utilized in West Burlington. In your opinion, what are you willing to use TIF for, and what are you unwilling to use TIF for? You have 90 seconds.
I think that West Burlington has done a very good job for the TIF they put in place. I think that things like the City Hall, some of the changes that we had from the trailer park into housing, that sort of thing, I believe that's important. So I think in terms of what I'd like to see the TIF used for would be projects that will pay back to the city over a period of time. And that could be local business, or it could be infrastructure that's utilized by a great number of people in the town. As to what we might not want to do, I don't want to necessarily put us kind of behind the 8 ball in terms of financing for the city, or hurting the school district, or necessarily hurting the county. So I think we have to use it with some discretion.
Thank you. Next round of questions, we'll start with Melanie. In your opinion, what is the biggest issue facing the city of West Burlington, and what would you like to see as the council's response to the need? 90 seconds.
One issue is we currently have an interim city manager, and I just would like to get that resolved. While it's working out great right now, I think it's in the best interest of all if we make that permanent. Let's just figure out what we're going to do. But then the second thing is I have a big concern about how water runs through the city. Many of my friends over the years have had flooded basements and stuff, and now I'm gaining an understanding of how that really is happening. And about in August, we had a lot of rain on the 11th or something like that. And I don't think luckily we've recovered from that, but I'm gaining a greater understanding of the potential negative effect that can have on property, businesses, and our infrastructure. And that one's not an easy fix or a cheap fix, and I think it really needs to be acknowledged we got a problem and then dig into it, because potentially that could be a big problem down the road. So those two things, one's a shorter term fix, the decisions that can be made, and then the second one we're digging into and figuring out what happened, how it happened, and how we fix it with where water rolls anywhere in the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question is for John Johnson. Most candidates for local office have a pet project or issue of primary interest that compelled them to run for office. What is yours?
Kind of went over that just a little bit ago. I would like to see some sidewalks. I went through the process there about the council, being a new council, and I just hope to bring that up. I have no real pet project of mine that is on the list.
Thank you. Next question is for Kathy Newberry. Work has begun on a West Burlington industrial park. What is your vision for that area? I have 90 seconds.
I feel like we need to get strong businesses that plan to stay and invest in our community. So I would want to not put a bunch of financial burden on our city unless we really could support that, and then have the type of businesses that bring our morals and values to our community.
Thank you. Next question is for Ron Teeter. One of the most difficult decisions you might have to make as a city councilor will be budgetary. Which matters to you more, protecting services or cutting taxes, and why? You have 90 seconds.
Well, first off, I think the city of West Burlington has done a very good job with managing their finances. Also providing the types of services that I think most of the residents are happy with. So my objective would be to make sure that the services are not cut. that people are still happy with the type of service that the city is providing. And then I would come back to the budgetary concerns and look at possible things that the city manager might do in terms of getting grants or state money or federal money coming into the city. So again, my priority would be to maintain services at the most economical level.
Great, thank you. The next question, I will start with Kathy. In recent years, retail and dining options have expanded throughout the community. These additions help build quality of life. Some believe increasing tourism is a way to sustain a vibrant retail and commercial sector in the community. Do you agree? And where are opportunities to expand visitor traffic? 90 seconds.
Well, I have a young family, so I feel like tourism is very important. I like to take my children around the world and show them what we have to offer. A lot of what we do is travel with sports, so I feel like we already have a great area here where we can bring in tourism that way and continue to grow, and it gives more opportunities for our people here, our community, with different restaurants and things if we can support that way.
Thank you. Next question will be for Ron Teeter. How engaged are you in the city's housing issues and discussions, and what are some strategies you might suggest to improve housing conditions and affordability in the community? You have 90 seconds.
I've kind of kept my eye on the housing situation here, partially because of my time with West Burlington schools, because obviously we don't get the same amount of money for our open enrolled students as we do for the students that live in the community. So I've always kind of supported the idea of having housing available for young families that is affordable for them. At the same time, keeping an eye on where can we, expand into business sorts of things without taking away property that would be better for housing. So I at least was interested in the most recent change that we made in the City Council last night in terms of having 2 new housing additions being brought before the City Council. So I support that sort of thing for us.
Thank you. Next question is for John Johnson. In recent years, retail and dining options have expanded throughout the community. These additions help build quality of life. Some believe increasing tourism is a way to sustain a vibrant retail and commercial sector in the community. Do you agree? And where are opportunities to expand visitor traffic? You have 90 seconds.
Well, roadways bring a lot to cities, and the new 4-lane going north and with the avenue of things. We can't really make that decision here, but the traffic makes tourism, and they spend money at Walmart and everywhere else. So I think things like what Burlington's doing, bringing boats in through the summer and cruises, doesn't really pertain to what we can do right here in West Burlington. But as an area, there's stuff like that. I think the Chamber's done a good job of bringing things in, like down at the auditorium, the concerts and all that. I would be willing and able to listen and see. Right now, I can't really think of anything that we can do to help West Burlington in that situation.
Thank you. Next question is for Melanie Young. Tax increment financing has been aggressively utilized in West Burlington. In your opinion, what are you willing to use TIF for, and what are you unwilling to use TIF for? You have 90 seconds.
Thank you. I think West Burlington has done a really good job of using TIF, leveraging it, and yet not going overboard and putting our city in a bad financial situation, not generating revenue. I'm in favor of using it for any type of housing development so that developers can put the infrastructure in place and then regain that money back. And I think that's pretty successful in various parts of the city. Really can't think of what it would not be used for. I wish I've understood what it couldn't be used for better. So as long as we're looking at it, I'm definitely in favor for residential use. That works with me. And then beyond that, I'm willing to listen to and understand, and that's where I limit my knowledge of it. I wish I knew more. So thank you.
Thank you. Next question will begin with John Johnson. What role should local government play to create an environment that would grow the city's population? You have 90 seconds.
I think that the city is a huge part of growing residential. Without the city, it's really hard to develop any new residential without, the sewer, the water, and the streets, and all that being put in. I believe money used in TIF would help that residential building. They just play a big role in that. So,
thank you. Kathy Newberry, same question to you. What role should local government play to create an environment that would grow the city's population? You have 90 seconds.
Well, obviously the thrive we need to grow. Because I'm a nurse, I realize one of our best assets is the hospital right here. A lot of our smaller communities aren't blessed with such a great facility right here. Other things I think are very important. There's a school system that's cutting edge, that gives all the students they have what they need to grow and be successful. Police departments, fire departments that continue to support the needs of the rural community.
Thank you. Melanie Young, same question. What role should local government play to create an environment that would grow the city's population? 90 seconds.
Well, I believe the role of government is in part to remove the barriers that are there to growth. And sometimes that requires building a street, that requires expanding the sewer system and infrastructure so businesses can grow there, you can put down a factory, put a restaurant there, put a house there. So given those are the basics, and then of course provide a safe, the local businesses provide safety, and that's fire protection and police protection. And then beyond that, it's quality of life issues. How do we attract employees to this area? That's where we grow. Right now we have businesses in the community that want to hire people and they can't find people to hire. And when people look at why do I want to move to Burlington, West Burlington, what things are they looking for? Those are the questions I ask myself. I ask myself, why do my children move to the communities where they live? They're looking for opportunities. They're looking for a variety of restaurants. They want quality of life issues. They want multi-use trails. They want the opportunity to be in the outdoors and enjoy it. In this area, one thing we can work on is in my opinion, is the connectivity of our trails and our use of our outdoor space. We've got great riverfront that if Burlington makes good with it, so can West Burlington. We've got big brother, it's just what it is. We have Lake Geo where we can use that outdoor space. Let's connect a little closer to them and make it easier for people to support from West Burlington to Burlington. Just connect, let's get connected, let's communicate. Thank you.
Thank you. Rod Teeter, same question to you. What role should local government play to create an environment that would grow the city's population? Okay. You have 90 seconds.
I'm going to look at it from the mayor's point of view. The mayor doesn't have a vote in the city council, so what can the mayor do to help something like this? And I think behind the scenes type of things might be where the mayor can help. Meetings with people saying, okay, we've kind of designated this as a possible area for residential improvement or in growth. So talking to individuals that own these properties, see whether there's a way that we can go ahead and move forward with something like that. Because I agree with all of these candidates have said in terms of we have to have a great police system, the roads have to be there, the infrastructure has to be there, but we have to also have that personal connection with the people who own the property who might be the ones that would go ahead and develop it. I'd also say that we keep in mind that we offer them incentives through the TIF or whatever we can to see this sort of thing works. And then again, having meetings with the city council and work session where we talk about, all right, these are the areas within the city that we think we ought to try and improve. Is there a way that we can go about doing this? And then direct the city manager, and in addition to be looking at ways that we can incentivize increasing our property.
Thank you. That concludes our questions, and now we will move on to closing statements. In your closing remarks, please share with us what sets you apart from the other candidates. And we will begin with Melanie Young. You have 60 seconds.
Maybe I want to say, instead of what sets us apart, what draws us together and what makes us alike. I think with the current council, with the people aligned, we have the opportunity to work together and kind of provide some energy and vision on top of what the city of West Burlington is already doing to just get a little better at everything. Improve it at West Burlington as a place people can live and have houses to live in. I think take our current science, we can work together, we're going to figure this out, and I think we'll be better for it. One thing I hadn't mentioned, and as Kathy brought up, is we have a great population base sitting over at the hospital and SCC. We already have this large APOP employment base there and people living at the college, and yet they're disconnected, it feels like, from the rest of the city. How can we do better with that? We've got the kind of people there already. We just want them to be residents of our community and live here to help us grow. So that's an example of where we work.
Thank you. Kathy Newberry, you have 60 seconds.
So in closing, I'd just like to thank everybody for coming out and taking an interest. Thank you for wanting to meet the candidates and helping to grow our city. I think that the key to our city's success is connection and everybody being involved.
Thank you. John Johnson, 60 seconds.
Well, thanks for having this meeting. I'm sure that a lot of people would like to get to know us more in this one. I'm a firm believer that there's always two sides to every story or situation that comes to this council, and my job will be to look at both sides. And when I look at both sides, then I'll choose what that is and talk it over with the rest of the council and see if everything's in line. And then that's how I will operate. With my past, I was on the council for 10 years, and I just hope to bring some of that back. And I enjoyed it when I was on here. I had to leave for a while, but now I'm ready to come back. So thank you.
Thank you. Ron Teeter, 60 seconds for your closing.
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank Hans Strassel for all the many years that he's been in. I hope that I can do half the job that you're able to do. So. I also think of the mayor position as being a moderator, a person who's going to help cooperation of the city council members to accomplish the goals that we want. So I see that as my position. I've done that many different times in my career, and I hope that, because I know a number of people personally, that this will be an easy transition and we can make this work very well. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. I want to thank each of you for your interest in serving the West Burlington community. Public service can often be a thankless job, but we definitely need dedicated individuals to serve. I want to thank the Greater Burlington Partnership and its Government Relations Committee for hosting this event, and thank those in the audience here and those who have been watching and or listening online for your interest in the City Council. Please vote for the candidates of your choice in the City of West Burlington on Tuesday, November 2nd. Thank you again.